approximately 135,000 people die every year because of air pollution. Hi everybody, my name is Naveen Rizvi and I'm the Manager Director at naveenofficial.com, also at Naveen the blog. So how did I start out? I grew up in the UK and I went to study at the University of Manchester and I studied politics, philosophy and economics. I then joined a graduate scheme known as Teach First, which is very similar to Teach Pakistan, and I started the graduate scheme for 2 years, and then I really enjoyed teaching and found it really fascinating and interesting, and I taught mathematics in secondary schools for 5 years. And then now my current role, what I do now is I'm a textbook designer, or otherwise known as a mathematics curriculum advisor, and I make mathematic resources for 60 plus schools using educational research to enable children of all abilities to be successful in the classroom. And as a bit of a side passion, I really wanted to write a blog. Being a teacher in the last 5 years and then moving into my current role, I wrote and I still do write a mathematics blog, which has gained quite a lot of popularity over the years. And I decided to take my skill set where I write about mathematics and write about how to teach successfully and apply that to how we can learn about Pakistan in a very knowledge-rich, impact-orientated way. And that is how Naveen the blog came about. So growing up in the UK meant that I would go to Pakistan once a year or once every 2 years, depending on just general life, my family. And as a member of the diaspora, I would go and see my family, I would go shopping, I would eat out, have a great time, but I would always come back from Pakistan knowing very little about the country. And that isn't anyone's fault at all, it's just the nature in which you go on holiday and spend time with your family. But in 2018, I really wanted to make a conscious effort to learn at Pakistan, because one day I'll have my own children and they will want to know about their heritage. So in 2018 is when we did our first filming round, and we interviewed SOS Children's Village, we interviewed Street Art Pakistan, and we released the website in June of 2019. And so far we've had another filming round where we interviewed, to name a few, we interviewed Huwath, we interviewed Seed Out, we interviewed the likes of Khadija Siddiqui, Jivanama, which is a regenerative farming program, and we interviewed obviously Rafi Alam, Salah Hayat, Abid Umar, and a few other really great people which we're looking to share with you very soon. The blog is all about Pakistan and learning about it in a very knowledge-rich and impact-orientated way. There's so many great initiatives and charities that are changing the life of Pakistan's most disadvantaged communities, and we really wanted to essentially magnify those wonderful, wonderful things. It has been an interesting process in terms of working in the UK and then now trying to start working within Pakistan as well, in the sense that the only thing that I've struggled with, and I think it's worth mentioning, is sometimes being taken seriously as a professional, because I think A, I'm a woman, and B, I'm quite young, and C, I am from abroad. So with all those three factors in combination, it does result in sometimes trying to organize and plan the logistics around our filming round, and some people are very disrespectful, unfortunately mainly men. And I'm very lucky that I have quite a supportive team around me. I work with my cousin, I work with my entire videography team. So normally when I go somewhere or we're filming together, I have about 5 to 6 men within my team, and there are instances where they have to step in and force the person that we're working with to be a bit more respectful and a bit more attentive and obedient to what we're requesting. So that's been an interesting part of it. I do hope that will change in the future as we grow bigger and bigger and bigger and more credible and more respected in the industry as well. So the next question is looking at what made us focus so much on Smog, and is it more of an interest in climate change generally, or are we really specifically focused on smog or air quality? And the honest truth of it is that we really want to focus on a small part of climate change, which is the growing smog concern within Punjab. And I've experienced it in Lahore and become very ill as a result of it. And I honestly can't imagine what it means for the people who actually live in the region full time. So if you want to make a documentary about climate change, we would have to be there for a year to 2 years, because Pakistan is geographically so rich and diverse. The way climate change affects the northern areas differs to how it would affect the coastal areas or the deserts, or it would affect the ports, such as Gwadar port. So our focus right now is predominantly on smog and air quality. And the reason why I focus on air quality is because you can't escape the air that you breathe. It doesn't matter how wealthy you are or building a home where it's designed to keep poor air quality out. We can't escape the air that we breathe, and that was a really interesting part of the problem that we wanted to focus on, because this meant it affected everybody within Pakistan, not just the disadvantaged communities or the poorer population. It affects everyone. And it's not to say because it affects more people we should be more concerned about it. It means that this is a problem and we need to focus on it regardless of how many people it affects. But it just seems to not be much of a concern right now in Pakistan. But I think with climate action marches, with Abid Umar running Pakistan Air Quality Initiative, there is now more of a conversation and a growing concern to tackle and solve this problem. Not leave the situation on a doom and gloom note. What can we do to tackle our growing smog and our concerns around climate change? Well, the answer is twofold. One is something that the government and industry would have to change, and the second one would be something that the public population can change. And let's focus on what the public can do. And it's going to be very unpopular, but I think maybe things are changing with the pandemic, is that we need to stop using our private cars and our motorcycles, and we need to really push for public transport. What that means is we need to create a public transport system which connects our growing cities, not just in our poorer areas, but equally in our more wealthy areas as well. So every single person has the ability to choose how to move around. That's catching a bus, that's catching a train, that's catching a tram. We need to be using public transport. And around that, we need to make sure that women and children can safely travel on public transport. So being in London, I don't own a car, and I don't need to own a car because I catch the London Tube, or I'll catch a bus to get to where I need to go. And that means we have fewer cars, we have fewer emissions, we have cleaner air, and that's something that we can change. But are we able to make that change? Are we able to leave our cars and get on a public bus or a public train? People are hesitant, and that's not because of money, it's because of security reasons, and also it's because we need to eradicate the social stigma that me or you catching any form of public transport means that we are not economically stable. That's not true. In the UK, when you get onto the tube, you can be sat next to a builder, a banker, a doctor, an unemployed person, a student. Yeah, it's about collectively making that change, not just the fair few. So this is a really, really important question, which is, what do we want people to take away from Naveen the blog or naveenofficial.com? And the sole purpose of what we do is to educate others. And that is all we care about. We care about being a source of information, which is researched, fact-checked, referenced, and providing a platform where it's readily available for anyone to learn about. If that's air quality, if that is microfinance, if that is how the transgender community within Pakistan is persecuted, or if it's sectarianism, we want to create a platform which is insightful, informative, and can educate anybody about very big topics that may affect us or may not affect us. So how can you learn from Naveen the blog? What we do is that we write blog posts, and we create teaser trailers and documentaries on topics that we want to magnify or raise awareness of. And right now, obviously with the pandemic as well, it would be really great if we could air our documentaries in cinemas, but that's just not going to happen anytime soon. So we've really focused on airing our content on YouTube, so you can do it in the comfort of your own home. But as we grow and develop, and as we have hopefully more funding and more of an interest, we would like to premiere our content on the big screen for everyone to enjoy, but also for everyone to engage in the conversation as well.